quite vocal on this issue of violence in Kibra, and he said, one of his tweets reads this way: Tinga, that we discussed BBI meant to sort out election violence when you have not only refused to renounce terror but continue to brazenly celebrate and perpetuate it, is to take Kenyans for fools. My friend, kuna upungufu mkubwa wa wajinga. When will you renounce violence publicly? What do you say to the DP's comments? Is Raila Odinga being a hypocrite while pushing for the BBI on one hand and yet refusing to at least face head-on the violence that rocked Kibra?
If the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya would put such a tweet, then Kenyans are to be pitied. I don't know how governments work, but this is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. I mean, when the president is the principal assistant to the president. So for him to, ideally what he's saying, that his hands are tied. There is nothing he can do. And if there is nothing he can do, what would Didmas Barasa do? What would John Muthuma do, or myself, or yourself for that matter? You know, whatever the political dynamics, whatever the political arrangement, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya must give motivation to Kenyans, encourage Kenyans that there is something that is being done.
Okay, but just what he's saying is this: should Raila Odinga have apologized on behalf of his party for the statements that his members made, and that is Edwin Sifuna, who's a party leader, I mean part of his officials, one of his officials, as well as Simbarati. Should he apologize, or is he being a hypocrite? Because we saw Junaid Mohammed say he has nothing to apologize for. Is Raila Odinga being a hypocrite?
These are political sentiments that are not even worth the tweets or the paper they are written on. One, criminal offenses are never corporate. If Edwin Sifuna had made utterances to the effect that they are insightful or in any way akin to unleashing violence to the opponents, Sifuna needs to be arrested, or any other party for that matter. But the Deputy President is talking about BBI, that BBI was supposed to curtail such violence. As we don't need BBI. We don't need BBI for political violence to be a thing of the past in Kenya. We are talking about 2007, 2008. We are talking about Kriegler report. We are talking about NCIC was established way back in 2008, and so are these other many agencies. So do we really need BBI? That is the conversation that we need to start. It is utterly superfluous to be talking about BBI in light of political violence. These are criminal offenses, and of course there is the law that guards that. And if there is the law, then we just need goodwill to prosecute the suspects or the criminals that are perpetrating this violence. So, well, the Deputy President...
But in all fairness, the BBI has been presented to us as a silver bullet of sorts, that this is an effort to ensure that elections moving forward are not so acrimonious.
Right.
That's how it's been presented. So his argument is, you know, and the thing is, this is the second handshake we've seen.
Yeah.
At least we're following contentious elections. We saw Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki shake hands in the story we ran just before we said this conversation. And then again we saw Uhuru and Raila shake hands. And I get what you're saying, Jack. You're saying we don't need BBI because ideally that initial handshake was done, was engaged in to prevent a repeat of election, the similar situation to what happened in 2007, 2008. So I get your point.
Kenyans must be serious with what they do.
But you also see where the root is coming from?
I see where he's coming from. I fault him on two issues. One, that is the Deputy President of the Republic, and therefore answerable to, Raila does not have a political office. I mean, he's not even an MCA, he's not a member of parliament, he's not a senator. Raila is a citizen, just an ordinary citizen of the Republic of Kenya, at least for now. Two, I fault him for, I fault him for blaming Raila as opposed to blaming the agencies that are supposed to be dealing with these issues. And two, he's talking about a BBI report. We don't need another report to curtail political violence, particularly after 2007, 2008. There have been multiple many of such reports, TGRC,
and that's his point, I think.
Report,
that is the point he was making, yeah.
Yeah, this is the point. I mean, so, I mean, BBI has not even been handed over as a report. We don't know whether it does exist in the first place. So, I mean, if you're talking about BBI and the contents therein, what exactly are you talking about? A document that does not even exist, at least for now. So, whether or not they talked with the Tinga and agreed or not agreed, the issue is the deputy president. He's still the deputy president and therefore answerable to Kenyans. If the president is not answerable to Kenyans, at least the deputy president needs to be answerable to. When he plays such vulnerability and Kenyans are imagining that his hands are tied, there is nothing he can do or there is nothing he would do,
Kenyans an apology?
I don't know whether it's an apology, but I think from where I'm seated, Raila has more work to do. And the more work that I'm talking about is you cannot be somebody with the stature of Raila and you sit back and you hear what your young politicians, people you have mentored, are spewing and you keep quiet. I take you back to 2008 in the US, the election between the late John McCain and Obama. And one of the most circulated videos came out of 2008, widely circulated. And McCain was having a campaign somewhere, and this woman was asking a question, and she took the microphone and said, "I do not trust Barack Obama. From what I've been able to read about him, he's an Arab." And before the woman could say anything else, John McCain shook his head, reached out to the microphone, and took the microphone from the woman and said, "Barack Obama is just my opponent, somebody who we just do not agree with fundamentally. But he is an upright guy, he's a family man, somebody that I respect. We only disagree on fundamental issues. This is your main competitor holding brief for you." That is a true genius of elections that matter. Forget this other nonsense we do here. So I would have expected somebody of the caliber of our good Right Honorable Raila Odinga not to accept, knowing where we're fully headed, not to accept this nonsense on a stage where he is. He can actually reach out to the microphone and say, "No, we are going to preach ideas. We are going to preach peace. We are not going to shout. We are not going to ridicule. We are not going to bring down, even if the other people are going to do that. We are going to stand on a very moral ground that is devoid of violence and personal attacks."